Welcome to Epic Vegas. My name is George, and we're starting off with a series entitled 90 Days to a Lifetime. I'm going to give you guys a little background on the video. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, a little bit of my history, and a little bit about the most wonderful woman in the world, in my opinion. If you ever meet her, you'll agree. Where to begin? A little over 5 years ago, I suffered a brain aneurysm and a stroke. That's why I'm in this wheelchair. Even though I can walk now, and I'm hoping to be out of the wheelchair 100% soon. I was actually walking the other day without my walker or my wheelchair. The therapist, or as I call them, the pseudo therapists, were very impressed on what I was doing, and that's my goals: is to impress people, but to impress myself more than anything. Anyways, a little over 5 years ago, I suffered a brain aneurysm and a stroke, and they didn't know if I was going to make it. I was in a coma for 3 months. I came out of the coma, couldn't talk or anything, but they were seeing good signs, so they decided that they were going to do a brain x-ray on me, a brain scan of some sort, CT scan, MRI, not sure, one of them. And I remember they sent me to the hospital. I was in the hospital. They took me and did the test that they were doing, and my mom was asking, what's going on, where are we at, what are we doing, and they wouldn't tell her anything. So they then transported me to another hospital here in Las Vegas and did another test, and wouldn't tell my mom anything, wouldn't tell me anything, but I couldn't talk yet, so it didn't really matter. But she was getting really frustrated. Long story short, they sent me to 5 different hospitals here in Las Vegas to do MRIs or CT scans, whatever the the situation called for. And my mom lost it on one day and said, "Hey, he's been in here. You said he's gonna die. Now he's not dead. What's going on? I'm confused." And they said, "Well, listen, your son was, yeah, your son has had your son has had one of the worst brain aneurysm and stroke combinations we've ever seen, and his brain's completely clear." And she asked, "Well, what does that mean?" And they're like, "He should have a full recovery." So that's why, I can move my arms, I can move my fingers on my stroke side, I can walk. You notice I don't have any like droopy face or anything like that. Everything's getting better. And where I was having memories forgot, they come back, and they come back like they were just yesterday. I'll be sitting there and I'm like, Mom, do you remember this?" And she's like, "Yeah, that was like 25 years ago." And I'm like, feels like it was about 2 days ago. So it's been an interesting, it's been an interesting situation, but I have fun either way. About 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I decided that I didn't like being alone. I'm not an alone person, not my forte. So I started hitting up all your main websites, um, apps on your phone to start dating and stuff. And I'm very wide open. I don't sit here and tell stories, or, I tell people straight up. After I talk to them for a few minutes, well, not people. After I talk to girls for a few minutes, I'll tell them, hey, FYI, I had these things happen to me. I'm supposed to have a full recovery, but, you know, don't promise anything. I don't need any help. I do everything myself. And some of the girls would be like, oh, I can't deal with that. And I totally understand that. Totally 100% understand that. But some of the girls would be like, oh, yeah, no, I have no problem. Let's go out. So we go out to dinner, have a nice dinner or something like that. And they'd be looking up in the air. They couldn't even make eye contact on me. And I kept thinking, man, I'd send you guys pictures of me, videos of me, I don't doctor up my videos or my pictures, so they're why they wouldn't do it. Anyways, I went on roughly, and this is not an exaggeration, I went on about 70 dates, and I never got a second date. So I kind of had to realize that maybe the US wasn't my play anymore. Maybe that's not where I should try to meet women. So I got on a few of the apps, and I'm sure that people know what they are, and I don't have to say the names or anything like that. I think on I was on four here in the U.S., but there were two of them that allowed you to talk to girls all over the world, and those were the two that I used. And I started talking to girls from Russia, the Philippines. Um, I'll see what else. Bosnia. You name it, I talked to them from just about everywhere. And I got a lot of play in the Philippines and in Russia, to be honest. But I wasn't clicking very well with any of the girls that I was talking to from Russia. So I started to stick more to the Philippines, and I talked to a lot of girls out there, a lot of females. Sorry, women. I don't talk to a little 21-year-old girl. Well, I used to try to set my goals around 25 to 32. That was where I thought was where I was more. Yeah, that's where I thought I was the most comfortable. And I talked to a lot of girls out there. And one day, I got a message from a girl, and we started talking. And man, I couldn't stop talking to her. There was something about her that her and I were just clicking. Everything we'd talk, we'd video chat. It wouldn't be just messages we'd send back to each other. And I was feeling a connection with her that I man never felt before. And that's when, as stupid as it sounds, I asked her to marry me like a week after we started talking. And she said no. And I can understand that. It was kind of quick, and maybe it was a little awkward and everything like that. So I let it go, and man, I just I I, I really like this girl, and I knew I wasn't gonna find another girl that I like this. So after about 3 or 4 days, I asked her to marry me again, and she would be like, "No, no, it's too soon. Can't do this." Anyways, for almost 2 months, we sat here and we talked, and I would ask her all the time to marry me. And finally, one day, I told her, "This is the last time I'm gonna ask you." And maybe she thought I was joking or something, but I asked her and she said no. So for the next month or two, I didn't ask anymore. I was a man of my words. When I said I wasn't going to ask anymore, I wasn't going to ask anymore. And I could tell that it was starting to it was starting to irritate her. Every time I talked to her, it would seem like she was nervous about something, like, what's going on? And I could tell exactly what it was. It was she wanted me to ask her, and I made my vow that I wasn't going to ask anymore. So finally, one day, she was like, "You need to just find somebody else. You." I don't even remember what she was saying, but she was getting so frustrated. So I said, "Listen, this is the last time I will ever ask you, will you marry me?" And she was like, "Yes, I've been waiting for so long, blah, 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 you this, that, and the other thing." I'm like, "You're waiting when I asked before that." So, anyways, that's how I met with her and everything has been going good. And since we've never physically met, we started with the visitor visa, so that because to the K1 visa, you usually have to have proof of meeting in person, but you can get a stipulation written into it where they'll meet the first, if you're disabled to a certain level, they will come here and you guys can meet on the first time. But we didn't want to go about that route. So we put that in, and like about a week after we put it in, everything got shut down for COVID. So now her interview to come see me is March of next year. So that's like almost 8 months, 9 months from now. So we decided to go ahead and file the K1 visa and get that rolling, and maybe that the K1 visa with stipulations actually will come through first before the visitor visa. Weird situation. It's just weird. It's weird. I have 3 children, uh, range from 21 to 16, and I have a grandson. I actually was a grandfather before I was 40. I love my grandson a lot, and I just got word that I'm about to have another grandchild. And it's not from my 21-year-old or my 19-year-old, it's from my 16-year-old. Yeah. So, yeah. A little. I'm happy because, I love grandkids. I love children in general, but I think my son was way too young for this. But, you got to make your own decisions and you got to do stuff. So we will see what happens. So, what I've decided with this channel is I'm gonna start out with this series and keep you guys in the loop of what's going on uh, with my journey with Rhea. Her name's Rhea, and bringing her out here. Then from there, I'm gonna go into my when I was 20 years old. I started working at one of the main casinos out here. I don't even know if I can say the name, how the laws work, or anything like that. But it's the last one on the strip. I opened that one up, and I actually did room service there. And I was a server out at the bungalows and the cabanas. So I have a lot of great stories with celebrities, with weird stuff that's happened, just crazy Vegas stories to begin with. And once we do um, the do I want to say courtship? After we do the courtship from the uh, how do I even want to say this? After I get Rhea here and everything's going good with that, we're gonna go ahead and work on the second series in this on this channel, and that's just gonna be Vegas stories. And man, I have great ones. Everything from you name it, celebrities, like I said. I, I mean, I can't even think there were so many of them. So crazy. So I hope you guys subscribe to the channel. Um, Anything you would like to know, put it in the comments. I answer anything. I'm an open book. If you guys want to know something, ask away, but don't don't be ashamed when I answer the question no matter what it is. All right? And like I said, my name is George, and this is Epic Vegas. Thank you guys. Have